This is your place for all things Grand Rapids Griffins and all things Toledo Walleye. This is the Hockeytown West podcast with your host, Brandon Cook and Nick Harrington.
And welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Hockeytown West podcast, your source for everything Grand Rapids Griffins and Toledo Walleye hockey. I am one of your hosts, Brandon.
And I'm Travis.
I'm Travis. That was so serious.
Sorry. And I'm Travis.
Welcome back, everyone, to another Walleye Weekly Update. That's right. This is an episode dedicated 100% to the Toledo Walleye, updating you guys on everything that's happened over the past weekend, where the Walleye had a 3-3 at home versus the Orlando Solar Bears. But before we dive into that, Trav, I think we got to share some stories with the folks here, because on top of the recap with this episode's going to feature the mayor of Toledo himself, Brandon Hawkins, who was nice enough to invite us down to the Huntington Center on Saturday morning to sit down with him in person, give us easily one of the most beautiful backdrops for an in-person interview we've had yet. Not that the Griffins locker room wasn't good enough, but the whole Huntington Center and the backdrop of this interview is absolutely beautiful. Doing it in person with him was even more fun. Genuinely just the nicest guy we could ever ask for to be a friend of the show at this point, because he's a friend of the show. He's not just a hockey player to us. He is a friend to us at this point. He's done so much to help us out and get us in with this organization. And this whole Saturday that we had was unreal. Getting invited to morning skate. Yes, it was an optional skate, but at the same time, Hawk, of course, out there in the optional in the morning, that's what he does. Getting the full tour of the facility, getting to stand on the bench for that morning skate as well. Like, what a cool perspective that I've never gotten in my life. I didn't play the game of hockey, so I've never been on the bench. Like, that was a first. So one, just an out of worldly experience for me. And I know for you, it's your hometown team. I can only imagine how you feel right now.
Oh man, Cloud Nine's probably an understatement. It's a really special thing that they let us do. I don't take it for granted. I don't take it lightly. I mean, I know you don't either, but just how incredible that was. From every player that got to, stop and say hi to us, the guys that we've talked to in the past, just willingly coming up, saying hi, asking how we're doing. Met a couple new faces also, and the coaching staff, Pat, he tells us he tells me after every interview, anytime you guys are welcome. It's just like, you love that, and again, I told so many people on Sunday, like, look, the stuff that we're going to talk about, like this week, like it was unbelievable. It was a first class experience. Like, they didn't have to do that for us. And, we get to talk about it for you guys. And then without any of you, this is not even happening. So thank you to you guys, really.
Yeah, honestly, thank you to everyone who tunes into this show weekly. I mean, we're just a small minor league podcast. We've been doing this. Nick and myself been doing this for coming up on 2 years now. Travis joined late here to bring the Toledo perspective here. And honestly, without him and the fans, we wouldn't have half the stuff in Toledo we have. So a lot of credit to you, sir. You've done a lot of work for this show, a lot of texting, a lot of calling, a lot of lining up a bunch of interviews for us. And we wouldn't be where we are today without you, the fans, the organizations that we've worked with. The Griffins have been fantastic to us. The Walleye have been first class. And dude, let's just talk real quick, before we dive into everything else, just about the facility itself. For those that have never seen it and understand why Hawk and other guys call it the NHL of the Coast. Dude, they are set up so well, from the size of the locker room, the quality of it, to the treatment rooms, the sauna, the extra dry room that would have been the Bullfrogs locker room that still exists. Like, all that stuff that's still down there, all this space for them, the coaching staff, to do all the things that they can do. The video room, for God's sakes, was like way bigger than I expected. It's a beautiful setup in there. Having the reaction time stuff for the goalies. We're talking about an ECHL team that's got NHL caliber setups for these guys. No wonder these players love coming to play for Toledo. Not just the fans and the environment itself, but they are truly treated like an NHL squad.
So it's funny because I got to go through the Red Wings locker room at the Joe before it was gone. I went to a couple camps, and that was part of the camp, is you got to go through the room. And honest to God, like it competes with it. And, you know, when you hear Hawkins walking through the locker room, like, dude, you weren't kidding. This is literally the NHL of the coast. Like, there can't be anything this close. And he's like, I think he said the only locker room that's close to the Walleye one between the American League and the ECHL was Rochester's. Like,
Yeah.
that's saying something. Like, that's roughly what, 60 teams, 63, 64 teams, somewhere in there. So like,
Yeah.
you got to put into perspective. Like, he's saying there's one that might be better. Like, that's an unbelievable thing. And this is a double A hockey team. Let's not forget that. Like, this is 2 steps below the NHL, and you have an NHL level facility. Kudos to the organization for taking such good care of these players. And like, you see it when you're down there. Like, you can understand why so many people want to come here. And you get an even greater appreciation for the players for not taking it for granted, giving it their all every single night. Like, they know that they're getting first-class treatment.
Yeah, like even, having the sauna room. Coast mentioned that to us. We don't have that in GR. Like, our weight room in GR is really nice. The treatment room's nice. The locker room, I mean, it's nice and modern and updated, but I still think Toledo's is bigger, which is crazy to think about. Coach's office is definitely bigger. Pat had some sweet military helmets from his days in Green Bay that he showed us too. Oh, those were so beautiful. Just every helmet was wrapped for each of those nights, and it was such a cool thing. And I'm like, that seems like a thing more teams could do with the wrap. I never thought about that before. You always just think of the shell and a paint job, but the wrap was pretty sweet. But I mean,
and they matched each year's jersey. Like, that's the most like mind-blowing thing of the whole thing, is it's like it matched the entire kit. So it's like they ordered a jersey specifically, and then they ordered kits to put on the helmets themselves. Like, that's pretty cool stuff. So the fact that he showed us, like, we're standing there on the bench watching practice, he's like, come on guys, let's go to the office. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. And just, again, being able to stand on the bench and chat with the guys at morning skate. We chatted with Keynes a little bit as he's recovering here, and he'll be back soon. And we chatted with Ace as well, the new goalie coach. He was an absolute beauty. Hopefully a future guest of the show here at some point.
He wants to come on the show.
Yeah, but, chat a little bit with Gylander. Bedsy, we didn't get the chance to really chat to. There's still that language gap there. But watching those guys put in work that morning after playing the night before, and, I mean, even at optional, they were skating hard. Hawk slinging the puck around, just what a beauty. But all the guys out there having a blast. I mean, hell, Blisser talking to us for a good 5-10 minutes before everything kicked off there, because we got there maybe a little early. But just having genuine conversations with the guys, them showing their appreciation for the show, the fans that tune in and support them. Like, we could go on for the entire episode, but cramming an interview into here as well, we won't. Let's talk about Swoyer here. This was an experience we didn't anticipate get that morning. As we said, we showed up a little early, and Swoyer's got a box there waiting for him, and it was his Calder Cup ring from Hershey. So we got to see that, and credit to Hershey, man. Holy smokes, did they take care of their guys. First of all, the ring, beautiful and heavy. I can't believe he let me hold it. What a risky move there. Good God. But not only did he get his ring, they provided a ring for his girlfriend, 3 custom bottles of wine with Hershey Bears art etched into it, the scores of the game etched into the back. Just, what a dream. Honestly, like, he was on cloud 9 after that. He couldn't believe every time he opened something else out of the box, he's like, there's more. But credit to Hershey, man. They take care of their dudes too.
You know what? I'll tell you this. Like, if they win the cup this year, they better, hopefully the equipment manager was taking some notes of what all they gave him, because I feel like the Walleye might empty the checkbooks for some of this stuff with what Hershey did for him. If they want to be the NHL of the coast, they got to live up to what Hershey did for him. That was unreal.
Yeah, not an experience we thought we'd get to see that morning as well. Again, everything that morning just lined up perfectly for us. And again, just thank you to the Walleye organization for even having us down, and the extended invite of any time. Like, I'm fortunate enough in Grand Rapids to have the ability to go to practice if I want to go to practice, right? But I have a day job. This podcast is not my full-time job, as much as I wish it would be at this point, because I love being around the game of hockey every chance I can get. But just that extended invite to a minor league hockey podcast, man. Like, just thank you to them. I have no words to describe it at this point, because we feel like just some guys talking about the game. And I think they view us a little more than that. And that right there in itself just tells you how world-class the organizations are.
Yeah, I would completely agree with you.
But enough about, I wouldn't want to say bragging about our experience, but just showing thankfulness for our experience there. I think before we dive into this game, or these games itself, we should send it over to Hawk. We'll sit down with him, chat with him. We'll go back to our chat at the Huntington Center there. When we come back, we'll dive into these games, throw an ad break in there too. Why not? And then when we come back, we'll dive into the interesting weekend of the Orlando Solar Bears being in town. So let's go talk to Hawk. There's nothing like the excitement of watching NHL hockey live and in person. The sounds of the puck hitting the boards, the players slamming guys up against the glass. There's truly nothing like it, and it's never been easier to save money on your tickets than now with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code THPN for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. Well, Hawk, thanks for the invite, man. This is a pretty awesome way to start off our year for us, getting a big interview with you in the bank tank. Excuse Orlando while they practice down there, but man, thank you for this.
Oh, it's not a problem at all. You guys are great. We love what you do. It's just cool for us to be a part of it, and thankfully you guys are giving us some insight to the minor leagues a bit instead of what's going on up top. So it's neat for us.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun too, and the Walleye organization as a whole has been fantastic to us. You guys have all been fantastic getting to watch the morning skate this morning, so we appreciate that. Before we dive into questions and just, talking, I got to throw one thing at you. I spoke with your old coach last night, Dan Watson, and then asked for a message for you today, and he said he expects 10 shots on goal tonight, and he's going to be watching the game. What do you have to say to that?
Make it 12.
Make it 12?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, Waddy was here when I had the night where I had 16 shots. And it was with TJ Hensick against Fort Wayne. I think I had 2, and Henny was trying to give me the third one, so he just gave me every pass no matter where I was.
Yeah. All right, you heard it here first. You get 12 tonight. But I'll throw it to you, Trav. You can go ahead and get started, man.
I mean, first of all, more importantly, how was your summer? You're a new dad. Yeah. I mean, go through that.
Being a dad's probably the most rewarding thing on the planet. There's nothing like it. Honestly, it's the best thing in the world to come home after practice or something like that, or just to pick him up from daycare and you see the smile and he's got his personality now. It was a whirlwind change for me and my wife, and she's a rock star for what she does. It was just, honestly, it's so rewarding in every way. Obviously, there's going to be some tough nights and some tough days, but nothing compares to being a parent and being a dad.
I think the coolest thing, you see, your family around the rink, and it's your whole family's raising your little one with you guys, so you're not alone.
Yeah, Mimi and Papa are close by no matter what goes on, and then Kayla's mom's always around here too. So it's been by committee, which has been really nice for us, and it takes a little pressure off of us too, because obviously they've raised 6 kids by themselves, so it's nice to have their help.
Now, how did Kayla feel about having to start off the season again on the road?
She was not happy about it, especially a 10-day road trip to start. Thankfully, she went and stayed that week at her mom's, so that made it a tad easier. And her mom's been awesome, so it was cool for her to help out as much as she did, and to go there and have the ability to have help when she needed it most.
I love that.
So we're going to jump into kind of talking about the team this year, but I got to go back to last year. When you found out you had won the MVP, what was your kind of reaction?
Job's not finished. I'm not a big personal accolade type of person. Obviously, they're cool to get and different things like that, but in my eyes, it's just an extension of the team's success, and I don't get to do that without my teammates, my line mates, and that's just how I feel about it. I don't. In my eyes, it's a team award. It just shows that how good our team was.
And then, you go through the recruiting process. You got a few friends here. Kind of take us through that.
Thankfully, I know a lot of guys in the league, and I grew up around in the Metro Detroit area, so a lot of guys that are still around played around there growing up, and we all played in a summer league called Eastside Elite with Steve Alexi, and I got to meet a lot of people. I played with Jalen Chmeric's older brother. I grew up with Tyler Spezia. I mean, if I want to get a hold of somebody in the league, it's just reaching out for a number through somebody I know. It's just one of those things. So when I'm asked to find a number or something like that, it's never really that difficult, and it's always fun to get a couple guys I know that'll really help.
It's like Travis getting all the Toledo Storm guys over the summer for us. Jesus, every week he had a new number in his phone. It's crazy.
I mean, you could have asked him or just asked me because I hang out with Dunks every weekend, so that is probably one of the coolest things in the world is get to talk to that guy and getting his insight on the game and how the Storm was and little things I can change here and there to make my game better. It's really cool to have that relationship.
Now, I know you're not a personal accolades guy, but I look over my shoulder and see your name at the top of 2 of those record boards, but not the third one. Are you going to get the third one this year?
The assist record is up there. Shane Birchback is a heck of a hockey player, and he was a heck of a passer. His hockey IQ was through the roof. And I'm sad I didn't get to play with him after the COVID year because could you imagine having him and Henny on the team at once? But if it happens, it happens. Obviously, I'm just trying to go out there and play my game, create opportunities, create chances, and thankfully I play with 2 line mates that most of the time if I put it on their tape, they're going to put it in the back of the net, and I hope the same thing happens when they hit me. So it's a lot of fun in that sense.
Let's talk about that line real quick, because this line, as you've dubbed it, the Hanson's line, this line's insane so far this season. Just like, is it just the chemistry for you and Spezia and Bliss is just fitting right in, or is it just you guys are all just long-lost brothers?
Well, so the chemistry with me and Tyler is kind of, we've had that since we were 4 years old. We learned how to play the game together. My dad coached us. Matt Koleski, rest in peace, coached us. It's just like there's an unspoken chemistry. We know where each other's going to be no matter kind of where we are in the game. And then I've played with Trenton now every game for the past 3 years. So him and I's chemistry has gone through the roof through those couple years. But honestly, when you put all 3 of us together, it's kind of just it's the perfect equation in our eyes. And in the way we think about things is we should be able to create chances and create opportunities throughout the game no matter what's going on. And that's kind of how we operate.
I mean, from the fan side, it's been a lot of fun to watch. It's kind of one of those things where you see all of you guys step on the ice together, and you're like, you got to pause what you're doing and make sure you're focused in, because something magical is about to happen, usually, is when you guys are out there.
I think it's just an equation of putting 3 high IQ hockey players together that are going after the same end goal, and I think that'll help in the end.
So we talked to Spezia. He told us 2 stories. I want your side of the story. One was breaking multiple sticks after you guys got Michigan, and another one was a puck hitting a coach in the head and roller.
Okay, so they were both roller hockey. The first one, the breaking multiple sticks, we were playing, I couldn't tell you, we might have been 15, 16, and a kid picked the puck up on his backhand and threw it around the goalie. And I think our goalie was a kid that just decided, like, hey, we needed a goalie today. Do you mind playing? So naturally, I took offense to it, and we lined up he did it, and on our way back to the benches, I snapped his first stick. We lined up at the face-off, I snapped his second stick, and at that point, I got kicked out of the game, but I had to circle back and grab my sticks. We're on the away side, so I grabbed my stick, and I'm heading off the ice, and he grabbed his other stick, and he stepped out, and I one hand and slashed and snapped that one in half. I was not happy, but I bought him a new one, but it's just, there's, at that point, like now it's much more acceptable. At that point, this is 14 years ago. Can you imagine someone trying to do the NHL or doing the Michigan, the NHL 14 years ago? It's a different story. But I took offense to it. Do I feel bad? Not really. It's just, you do stupid things, you win stupid prizes. And the other one, I was dumping a puck, and we were on a penalty kill. I don't know why I was out there on a penalty kill. Puck goes behind the net. I step out and go to take a slap shot down the ice. And if anything, I'm buzzing the tower. And the roller hockey puck will curve and dip and do different things. And I hit it, and I took a slap shot as hard as I could. And it's going like far corner and out of just curves right into the bench. Goes off the cement wall, hammers the coach. I felt terrible because the coach is actually an unbelievable guy. He was a local firefighter. And I went to school with his son. It was a kind of a catastrophe, but it happens.
Yeah, those were 2 I had to bring up because we had a great laugh about it.
I'm glad he didn't tell you the story of him throwing me an errant pass at drop-in, and I toe dragged a guy, the sled hockey guy.
Oh my!
Threw me a pass way out in front. Guys coming at me. I'm like, do I step around him? Do I stay on the inside? What do I do? And I toe dragged all the way around him. And I felt terrible, but I blame him for the bad pass.
It's fluid, though. It's just fluid.
It's part of the game. It just happened. But hey, props to that guy for playing like adult drop-in on a Friday night, like normal drop-in. Thought it was neat. And
on a sled.
It's like crazy how hard they can rip the puck. It's nuts. And we do
Yeah,
our
you do it here.
we do our sled, like it's so hard. It's honestly, it's like, to me, hockey has to be the hardest sport, period. But to balance on a sled, understand your edges, understand weight transfer and everything that goes into it, it's so hard, it's crazy. So a lot of props to those guys.
Now, one guy we talked to you post-game about this season, Griffins.
Yep.
I mean, he's been on fire to start the season. You mentioned him as a guy who's a hard worker, goes out there and does everything he possibly can, and right after that, he's got 3 in 3 games. Just talk a little bit more about him as a teammate so far and what you've seen from him in his development.
He's quiet and he goes about his business in a professional manner, and you know what? It shows on the ice. He wants to win, he wants to play, and he wants to do things the right way. And I think that's really helped his game kind of progress and go forward. You could always see he's got skill. It's just a matter of him having the opportunity to do it in the right situation. And you can see in the past couple games he's gotten in the different situations that he's really proved he can be a skillful player in those areas. And honestly, it's just props to him because he's stuck with it. He's played on the fourth line. He's played on the third line. He's played up and down everywhere you can imagine. So it's really cool to see him succeed.
What's your thoughts on the team so far? You guys have got off to a good start, but what are your thoughts?
I think we're young. I think it's one of those things where a lot of guys are still learning and still understanding the systems and the way we do things. And obviously, last year was a little different. We had a lot of older guys, a lot of guys that have kind of understood the game. Now it's really teaching the new guys and having them understand what walleye hockey is now and our identity. So I think slowly but surely we're getting to where we want to be. You could see there's times where we're not a full 60-minute team, and I think we're getting to that. We've really made strides to be a full 60-minute team and have really good puck management and play into our identity. And I think when we play to our identity, we're going to be as good as anybody else on any given day.
Who's the biggest surprise this year? If you can't say Griffin Ness.
The biggest surprise, Tanner Pelosic. He plays the game hard. He's got some grit to him. He's skilled. He's strong on his feet, and in my eyes, he plays really simple. And I think that really attributes to his game because he's a good skater. And when he plays simple, he can jump up at the play and be offensive. He can defend. He's strong on his feet. He's not really letting anybody get around him. So it's cool to see him take advantage of opportunities and play as well as he has.
Now, do you think that a former teammate influenced him to come in here with Sturts?
Yeah, Sturtzy's the only pro or the only guy in ECHL history that got a recruiting trip to Toledo, and then he signed in Orlando. I'm still salty about it.
But he ended up here.
He came here during the Kelly Cup final, waving a white towel, going out with us and enjoying the bar scene and everything like that here, and then he goes, "Yeah, I'm coming." Signs in Orlando. I'm like, what? Why?
I mean, it was a credit to Waddy to get him though. Like
Yeah.
he even said, I think I read in an article, like he recruited him and now he helps get you a player. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's huge, and he's such a great human being. He was part of a group we had on a wall called Death Row. It was all the guys that were retiring. It was him, Thomas Ebbing, John Albert, a couple other guys. It was funny, but he's a heck of a human being. I'm not surprised that he's an awesome coach and everybody loves him at Penn State. He's just he's a guy in the room that lights up everybody's day, and he'll really drive a team when you need it.
I want to talk a little bit about Pat, because obviously last year was his first year in the ECHL up here, kind of adjusting to things, and he adjusted pretty quick, and the team obviously had a great year. What's it been like second year with him? What have you noticed that's different, and just tell me more about him as a coach, because we know him as a person. He's a great dude, loves talking to us, but just more as a coach.
In my eyes, he's an awesome communicator, and that's him and Waddy have that in common for me. Second year, it's a lot of the same. I think he's holding guys a little bit more accountable this year. I think that's just what happens in the second year. I love him as a coach. He's a player's coach. He understands the game. He played the game at a high level, and you can see when we're in a situation, you can see his creative juices flowing, and almost like he's on the ice and he wants to create the play himself. So I think he really helps us in that situation. You can really see him grow as a coach last year to even grow even more now. But the whole point in my eyes in professional is knowing where you stand as a player. And every day, any given day, you'll know exactly where you stand with Pat. And I think that's one of the coolest things because not everybody has that. So And he instills confidence in each guy, practice, game. He coaches the individual the way they should be coached, not to within our identity. And I think that's huge because not everybody can be coached the same. So he's very adaptable to the player. And I think that's huge for a professional coach.
And then this year, you guys add something that no other ECHL team has in a goalie coach. I know you don't get to work with them a lot, but what's that addition
I work
been
with
like
him
for
every day.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
because
Ace.
you're the one shooting on the goalies usually.
Austin Kaiser. No, he's great. He really good person. Understands what the goalies need on a daily basis. He's very cognizant of how they want to be worked with, how they want to work on the ice. And honestly, he's been a tremendous addition to our team. We call him Ace. He is call him Ace because of Ace Ventura, but no, he's great. He's been a really good addition for us. He keeps things light. He's a funny dude, but no, he's great with the goalies, and honestly, I think the goalies enjoy working with him a lot.
Yeah, it's nice to see just that investment in the development too, and Detroit using this team as a development team for these young goalies too. It's a really cool thing to see as a fan.
Yeah, it's 100%. It's huge. Yeah, obviously, you said nobody else has it.
Yeah.
Usually they're sending a guy down from the American League or the NHL to come work with the goalies, and that doesn't happen but maybe once a month.
Yeah.
And luckily, we've had it the past couple of years with Phil Osier, and he's been here every week, every couple weeks, so that's always been nice. But to have a guy here full time really ups the game.
Yeah.
One guy I got to ask about because he was kind of a thorn in your guys' side last year. Now he's on your team, Chaz Redekop.
Yeah, that was the best thing I've ever seen was signing Chaz Redekop. Who I got his number through Gorsuch, who plays in where is he? He's in Wichita.
Which he was here.
Yeah, he was here, but he also played in Kalamazoo. So he reached out to one guy, got Red's number, gave it to me, and then kind of worked it through that a little bit. But no, that was a huge addition. Obviously, I hated playing against him.
So did Bliss.
I played against him every shift, and he was on my side. So I make a play, I'm either getting hit with a hip check or trying to get cut in half with a cross check, or he's trying to pull my helmet off, or we get in a wrestling match and then he's got to fight Gravy. It's just, listen, I couldn't be happier that he's on our team because I don't have to deal with him anymore. I got him on my side.
You don't have to big brother somebody this year. He's your big brother.
I don't know if he's my big brother. He's just the bigger brother. Well, obviously, I mean, last year all he wanted to do was take Cortzy's head off, and we didn't have anybody till Gravy, so who'd that fall upon? And sadly, I had to deal with it half the time. But no, it's great to have him. He's a great person, and he's a really good leader and presence in the locker room. Obviously, he was a captain there. He plays the game hard, and honestly, you need guys like that. And to have his size and his ability, skating ability, and that mental snap where at any point he could just, nobody's getting the net, he's going to take someone's head off, he'll bury you with a hip check. He doesn't care who you are, you're going to get it, and I love that.
I want to talk about the fans. Mm-hmm. You hear last night 40 straight sellouts. Tonight will probably be 41, tomorrow 42.
Yeah.
What goes through your head when you hear that?
That Toledo is a hockey town. It's just, they love their team, they love their city. Obviously, I love it here. You guys have understood that. Moving my family, we bought a house here, stayed here, raising a child here. To see how much they are, compassionate about their team and the way things are here, from the Gold Diggers to the Storm to us. It's just, you understand that how much they love and care about our team and hockey here.
So you bought a house here. Is this your forever home for probably the rest of your career?
Hey, I don't plan on going anywhere else. I've told everybody that. It's just, this is where I love to play. It's where I love to do my job, and thankfully that Pat and everybody in the organization seems happy to have me, and it's not a place I'd ever want to leave.
I want to get into some fun questions that I came up with.
I love it.
So the nicknames this year, is yours the Mayor?
It's the Mayor.
Or are you going to change it and your whole line's going to say Hanson on the back?
I didn't think about that, but it would be awesome. I did not think about that at all. Maybe I'll have to confer with the guys. I heard the Mayor of Toledo wants to trade me jerseys, a little jersey swap.
There you go.
Maybe him and I do something together.
I like that.
One thing I gotta ask about, and I told you about this during the Gulch golf outing.
Yep.
You guys won it.
Yeah.
But what was your first reaction when you heard that Gabriel's team didn't know how to use the string the right way?
Well, I mean, it's Gabe's. It's like, I love him. He doesn't read directions. Let's just put it that way. He's the guy that he opens the box. He's not reading the directions. He'll figure it out at some point, but yeah, they did, again, for his sake, they didn't explain it to him, but like, it was pretty self-explanatory. Like, it's self-explanatory on that.
So, is the little one going to be on skates as soon as possible?
Or a golf club in his hand, either one.
There you go.
Yeah.
No broken windows yet.
Nope, no broken windows yet.
So I want to ask about some kind of leadership stuff. We had Derek Booth on.
Yep.
And he told us about you help him and Duncan out with clinics occasionally. And you sat down with both of them and were kind of asking, like, what does it take? Like, what did you guys do? What did you take away from that? And how do you, like, implement that to the current group you got?
So the big one is a mindset. It's just that you got to be having fun. And when you're having fun, obviously there's going to be different things and you got to take adversity. But it's all about picking a guy up. It's always uplifting your teammates and trying to be the best leader you can be, whether it's on the ice or off the ice. One of their big things was to get the team together in every situation possible, outside the rink. And obviously they had such a close-knit group that they were always together wherever they went. I heard a lot of stories about the Console Tavern.
So did we.
But like, you could just see, like, the way they went about their business was they had a confidence to them, a swagger, and their whole thing for me that I took away was you got to be an uplifting leader. You can't ever be negative. You can snap once in a while to get things back in check, but the more you pick a guy up, the more you're going to get out of them and the more confident they're going to be playing with you. And when that happens, you get an awesome product, which could lead to a championship or could lead to winning games or could just simply lead to that player being a better version of himself. And I think that's what the key thing I brought from them.
So really my last one, you just brought it up, championship. You guys know it's cup or bust essentially for the fans. Like,
we're not going to talk about it, though. We're going to talk about winning tonight.
there you go.
So
That's the important thing,
and I
taking it
think-
day by day.
Exactly, and I think that's a big thing that obviously there's a pressure here, right? And everybody knows that. There's a pressure playing in Toledo to be like the Storm, to have the championships, to do things like that. But Pat, one of the biggest things he's implemented here is taking it game by game. Let's not talk about the end goal, because in our eyes, if we take it game by game and do it to our identity, doing our job at the best version of ourselves every given day, we should give ourselves a good opportunity at the end of the year to fight for that. And for the fans, obviously I understand it. We want to win. We want to win it so bad. But right now, for our team and our identity, we got to focus on that day to day. And I think, again, if we do that to our identity and to the best of our abilities, we should be able to get there.
The last one I got for you. Obviously, this morning, optional skate. It's a 3-3 weekend, and you're out there snapping the puck around with the guys. Is that just a leadership thing for you, or is it just the rink rat in you that just can't stay away?
I played with a guy by the name of Justin Vive. You guys all know him.
Yeah.
And he, and I like this. He goes, someday I'm not going to be able to do this. So every time I get to put my skates on is a gift. And there's going to be some days where I don't hop out on optional. Today I felt I'd feel better tonight if I jumped on my skates early, and that's kind of how I go about things. It's a feel thing. If I feel good in the morning, maybe I don't jump out. But if I'm little tired, it's a different story. I'll jump out and go out for a wiggle and have my fun in the morning.
Perfect. I like it. That's all I've got. You got anything else, Travis?
No, I'm good.
Well, Hawk, man, thank you again for setting this up for us, having us out here. This is an opportunity that we definitely couldn't pass up, and just thank you for being a great friend of the show, man. We
Not a
appreciate you.
problem. Love you guys. This is it's always a pleasure. Obviously, we'll do this a lot more. But, I think we got to do a show with me, Boother, and Dunks on it once.
I 100% agree. We need to do it.
The stories I've heard from those guys while I've been coaching camps are hilarious.
Oh, boy.
We've talked about doing a round table, so maybe we can bring you into that.
Yeah, I need it.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a want. I need that.
Yeah, it's definitely going to happen. Well, cool, man. Thank you.
Not a problem. Appreciate you guys.
The 24-25 NHL season still has that new car smell, and the action is heating up at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started at DraftKings Sportsbook. Try betting on something simple, like picking a team to win. And if you're new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice.
And welcome back to just the two of us to recap some hockey games. Before we jump into that, man, what a beauty Hawk is, man. That was fun. He wanted to do that whole interview on the fly, but we still had some questions we needed to ask.
Yeah, dude's a gem. I love that guy. He is so beyond generous to us. He is the true definition of the mayor.
Dude, for real, though. Him saying the actual mayor of Toledo and him want to do a jersey swap cracked me up, man. I was like, there we go. I was like, what kind of jersey does the mayor have, though? Is he going to get a suit jacket in exchange for a jersey? I don't know.
I don't know. What made me laugh through the whole thing is when I asked him if they were going to roll out the Hansons on the back of the nickname jersey, and he's like, ooh, I didn't even think of that. We might have to do some rearranging. So I wonder if that happens.
I hope it does now, because honestly, they are the Hanson line at this point. Let's be real. They are gritty. They score goals. They are just an absolute blast to watch on the ice together. But yes, thank you again to Hawk and the Walleye for making that interview possible. I couldn't think of a better spot in the arena to do that, except for on the ice itself.
That was his idea.
It was all his idea. I still say, though, we got to get you two on the ice together since, Nick and I can't ice skate. We do want to work on that. I am committing to working on that over this season here, but at the same time,
and we use virtually the same curve, I found out. So
yeah, that could be good content right there. But yeah, no, let's move on from that though. Let's dive into these games. Like we said, the Walleye had a 3-3 at home this weekend with the Solar Bears coming to town. Not a team they see very often either. Which was fun to see. It was fun for me to see in person because I remember those jerseys and that logo from the IHL days when they'd play the Griffins back in the day. So to see that team still existing and seeing that jersey on the ice again, I know it's changed up a little bit since then, but I was like, ooh, it's still one of the wildest color combinations that exist in hockey, and it's a fun one to see out there, especially when that goalie rolled out with a full orange set on Saturday, which we'll talk about him, I'm sure, during this episode. But just a quick rundown for the fans here. Obviously, Friday, Toledo wins that game 5-2. Great start to the weekend. Great atmosphere for them. It was a good game overall. Saturday, 4-2 loss, and I wouldn't say is the Walleye's worst game. I just think Orlando outplayed them in some aspects. And then on Sunday, Orlando wins in overtime 3-2. So just kind of talking overall in the weekend, there's a few guys we got to talk about. And we'll start with the first one here, and that's Blisser, man. Bliss had a heck of a weekend. 2 goals in the first game. He had a goal as well in the third game of the weekend. Just overall thoughts on Bliss's performance this weekend, because he played well and showed some fire on the ice.
Yeah, he was really good all weekend. The 2 goals in 2.5 minutes on Friday. Had him on Hattie watch for basically the whole third period. The goal he scored Sunday was a great play. Pat said to me after the game, he's like 3 pump fakes and then finally rifled one past the goaltender. He was really he was flying around out there this weekend. I thought he was, he had to, they didn't have Spezia Sunday, so they went back to last year's first line with Louis up there. So that was nice to see that, their chemistry carried over. But I thought he had a great weekend. Again, he stopped and talked to us a bunch. I talked to him Friday and Sunday, and then, we talked to him on Saturday. So, just a great weekend from him. He's off to a great start this year. So he seemed overall like, he's happy with how the team's playing for the most part. Obviously, they just hate to lose. Like, that's the one thing that I've noticed. Like, when I'm down there and like they do drop a game, like they're pissed off, to be really honest. Like, they're not happy. So they do take losing personally.
They really do. And like let's talk about the overall weekend, right? Before we dive into more players. Like 2 losses, one being an overtime loss. They take away 3 out of the 6 possible points. And fans look at it, they just see the loss, right? And I think a lot of people go, "Oh God, what's going on with the team?" But the team didn't play bad. Like, I look at Saturday being the game that I got to be there in person for. And Orlando tried to be the bullies on the ice, right? Especially one player in particular, I can think of 71 on their team, running his mouth all weekend, doing whatever he could to really get in the Walleye's way. And I mean, granted, that's his role on his team, and he played his role perfectly. But I don't think these are bad losses by any sense of the word. I don't think there's anything to sound the alarm over these 3 games. I mean, they just didn't get to establish their game. I felt like Saturday and Sunday. It was a toss-up. Either team could have walked away with the win, and unfortunately Orlando did. But, I mean, there's nothing to really be concerned about overall when you look at these games, right?
I don't think, like, nothing's too concerning for the most part. I mean, Friday they had a great night. You set them up for a huge weekend, but really, you look at Sunday, I look at it as they got goalied. Christ, they had over 40 shots. They just couldn't score on the guy. Like, it was just like, every shot he had an answer, and it was just like, oh my God. And like some night, and you're gonna run into that. There's gonna be stretches where you face a hot goaltender, and he was feeling it Saturday. He was really good too. If you look at some of the goals that Toledo did score on him in those 2 games, like Hawk with a redirection, Bliss with just unreal patience, made literally a perfect shot. It was just like, it was one of them weekends to where, like Pat even said, they struggled to find some offense, which they don't normally have to worry about. But I think a lot of that was due to just really good goaltending and really good special teams by Orlando. They killed penalties really well. That was one thing I discussed with Pat. And I think, if you play the way they played most of Sunday's game, you're going to win a lot of hockey games, like a lot of hockey games. Obviously, one tough goal Sunday. That first one, I think Guylander'd love to probably have back, just squeeze it a little better. It was a little bit of a leaker. I didn't really get to see the game-winning goal. I was already downstairs. I was looking at a monitor from the side. I know how it happened, so it's just a tough break all around. But all in all, I'm not too concerned. I think they're playing pretty well for the most part. And, they even say, like, they're still trying to find their true identity. Like, we've heard that a couple times. Like, they're still working through some things, learning each other. And, it takes time. Like, you don't want to peak in October, November. You want to peak in April, May, June. So there's a long way to go. And, I'm not stressing. They're not stressing. I mean, Spiegel even said, like, on Saturday, like, I'm not concerned. Like, we're playing pretty well for the most part. So all in all, I think they're in a good spot. I mean, Christ, they're in first in the division still. So like, there's really no need to panic anywhere. You're not going to win 72 games. I think that, if you get upset over losses, like, you're going to lose games. Nobody's ever gone undefeated in a hockey season. So it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, again, there's nothing to be concerned with. And, these guys have the one game at a time mentality. And that's what we heard when we talked with Hawk as well. You brought up championship or bust, and he wasn't even going to talk about it. And God, I loved that answer. And I hope the fans loved it as much as we did, because that's the exact mentality this team needs to carry. And, he even mentioned it. They're working on their identity as well, and it's going to take some time. And when they have their great games, they're great. When they have the close games, they're still great. And even in a loss, like you said, putting up 41 shots on goal in a loss, you do that every game, you're going to win the majority of those games. And credit to Orlando. They were a desperate team. They're still under 500 this season, even with their wins this weekend. Like, they needed to find a way to right the ship for themselves, and what a better way to do it than on the road. And we know what road trips can do for teams, to bring them together, to figure things out. It's unfortunate that it happened against us, but at the same time, it is nothing to be concerned about, because the team overall played well. I think when you look at the stats, if you want to talk stats, the only concern I'd maybe have is the power play that Orlando seemed to stifle a really good power play from Toledo. Friday night, Toledo goes 2 for 5, and then Saturday 0 for 4, and Sunday 0 for 6. It was weird to see them not be able to get things going, but you look at Sunday, you're missing a key piece in Tyler Spezia. He's a big part of that power play, especially that first unit. And then Saturday as well, it's just Orlando did a good job shutting them down and not allowing them to establish really much of anything on the power play. It was really hard for both units to actually establish their presence in the Orlando zone, and that's credits to them. And like you said, they roll out a goalie Saturday who played fantastic, and then he played again on Sunday, and he absolutely goalied us. And it's going to happen in hockey. It's nothing to dwell on. So we'll move on from the overall just thoughts of the game and go back to talking about our guys here. And if you got another piece you want to add though first?
Yeah, just one more thing. You look at the start on Sunday. They didn't have a shot for almost 10 minutes. Like once this team puts together a full 60, I think this is going to be an extremely tough team to beat. Like, I think if you ask I bet if you ask every player in the locker room, they still haven't played a full 60 yet. Like they've had, you hear like Hawk on Sunday, 7/8. Like, we played great for all but maybe 10 minutes, all but maybe 2 or 3 minutes. Like, you put a full 60 together, this team's going to win a lot of hockey games, and they're already winning a lot of hockey games with not putting together, in their opinions, in their words, a full 60.
Yeah. And it's just tough. It's tough. But at the same time, we don't dwell on it. It is interesting with, the post-game access that we have. We didn't put Hawk on camera on Saturday, but we did talk to him briefly, and he looked all disappointed. He's like, I'm just a sore loser. That's just, I love his mentality, man. He's just such a funny guy, but he lives and dies by this team, and he does not like losing. And the mentality of the boys hate to lose. I want to bring up Shoresy quotes here, right? But I mean, you love a team that hates to lose. You love that because that just means they're going to come out in this next game against Wheeling on the road here, and they're going to be firing on all cylinders. It's going to be crazy. I anticipate a big game from them, especially against Wheeling. Those games are always eventful. But speaking of Hawk, let's talk about him. He did have a goal and an assist in the Sunday game. He had 10 shots on goal. That was, Waddy joked with me on Friday and said he expects 10 shots from Hawk on Saturday. He only had 6, but he comes back the next night and gets that 10 as well. And you look at Saturday as well. It was weird. You don't see him on the point sheet, actually, for once. They kept him off there, which is rare. I was disappointed since we had just talked to him that day.
It's probably
the night...
probably where the 10 shots on Sunday came from.
Yeah, he was probably a little frustrated there. But, the night before that on Friday has 3 assists. His 3-point game there. Just continues to play at the top of his game in this league. I mean, heck, I believe he's still leading the league in scoring at this point, and obviously leading the team as well. Just what can you say about Hawks' play over the weekend?
Nothing short of elite. You know what you're going to get on a night-to-night basis with him. You're probably going to get a point a game, if not more than that. He's just the one thing that's really surprising me more and more is, like, last year he puts up a boatload of goals, like more goals than assists, I believe. I'd have to look back. I mean, either way, to score 40. Like, he's a shot-first guy with as many shots as he has. You're starting to see the playmaking and assists, like the play to Spezia Friday night where Spezia tipped it in. Like, that was a great pass. Like, you hear us talk about the shot. Yeah, it's elite. It's unbelievable. Costa just literally told us tonight, like, it's top 3 of anything he's ever faced in his life. Like, that's how good of a shot this guy has. And Costa's been in NHL training camps. Let's not forget that, with guys like Patrick Kane, Dylan Larkin, Alex DeBrincat. Like, so that kind of tells you how good of a shot he has. But his playmaking ability is just so good. He's starting to dish the puck out. You don't want one guy to have to do it all himself. And they don't have to rely on him. This team's got a lot of depth. But as a whole, he's just playing so well. And, he's feeling it. Like, when he's feeling it, good things are going to happen.
Yeah, it's impressive, man. Next guy I wanted to talk about, though, he continues to stay hot, even in a depth role, and it's Griffin Ness, man. His 5th goal of the season Friday night. And when we watched him on Saturday, so many good plays generated from that line. That line was easily probably one of the top performing ones that night. he just continues to be a playmaker, but also be a force out there, playing a really heavy play style out there. He just continues to be good.
Yeah, he's a really good player. I like, Pat he found a good player here, and you need rookies in this level to come in and perform, and he's performing. Had a little bit of a tough day Sunday with a couple penalties, but all in all, like, he's been really good, really impressive, and you're really starting to see the USHL production, not the college level production, which I think, when you look back, like when that trade was made, I even said was like, man, I wonder if we're gonna what player we're gonna get here. Like, are we gonna get the high scoring player from junior, or are we gonna get the collegiate player that didn't put up a lot of points, played more of probably a depth role? But no, he's again super nice person. Like, he talked to me the one night, super nice guy. It's just, there's a clear culture here of kind of player they want, and they go after that type of player, and for the right reason. And I think, a young player like him, with his attitude that you've seen, like, post game, like, it just shows like what they look for, and he's got that.
He could have a really long career in Toledo. Let's be real. He could be here for a while. And that's exciting to see a guy develop like that, especially a guy that we know Pat had his eye on from the USHL days for sure. And to see him develop in front of our eyes like this, it's really cool to see. Another guy, I mean, I saw absolute fire coming from this guy's eyes Saturday night. Carson Bantle, another great weekend from him. He does get a goal on Saturday night. It continues to be a player that we had so many question marks around after watching him in training camp, but continues to improve and impress us every night. And to see playing that game with an edge on Saturday with some anger in him, but again, didn't take penalties, didn't make mistakes, but still was a menace out there. Toledo fans have to be loving what they're seeing from this kid so far.
Well, the first thing I want to say is I feel bad for him. I know, like, we got to apologize to him almost, because, like, we talked to him Saturday, and it was like people were in and out all around us. Like, it just was a chaotic thing. I don't even think we could drop it, really, just with how utterly chaos that was. But
yeah, we didn't.
I felt bad, but ultimately, like, the player, like, okay, this guy gets the puck on his stick, he doesn't lose it. Like, his puck possession is so good. He uses his frame, he uses that long reach. I mean, he's like 6'4", 6'5", some crazy number like that. Toledo's wanted size forever, and size doesn't always amount to skill sometimes. Size amounts to skill here. This guy can play. He can shoot the puck. He's not afraid to go to the front of the net. Like, I remember at one point we were sitting there, and the puck went down low to him. He had the puck on the goal line, and I just was like, we were on the power play. I was like, just take it to the net. And he just right along the goal line cuts to the front of the net. Didn't score, but I'm like, see, okay, he knows how to use his size to his advantage and not take penalties, but also be a super effective player. I really like his game. He's just a competitor. Like you've said countless times, his motor doesn't stop. He just keeps going and going and going and going. And that's one thing that I think, again, you see this franchise, and with now Waddy bringing what the style of culture he wants to GR, that's a GR signing. So you just love to see that as from an organizational depth, really.
Yeah. And, bringing that style to Grand Rapids, the fans love it. Like, we're seeing more fights from Grand Rapids than we've ever seen before. We're seeing bigger hits than we've ever seen before. And it's just fun to have that style, and having guys up and down the organization that can provide that. It just makes everything so much better, especially we know here in Grand Rapids, if there's an injury, Bantle can be called up and he's going to produce. He's produced at this level. He's produced at that level. He's a really good depth piece. Same with Gabriel Seeger. We've seen him have good production here in Grand Rapids. We know he can produce in the ECHL. We assume at some point in time we're going to see him back in the ECHL with some injuries starting to come back from Grand Rapids with like Tim Gettinger and hopefully Mazer within the next month. We would hope to see him back. So you got to feel good for the Walleye knowing that Grand Rapids has provided depth. I mean, look at Chaz Redicop. He's a Grand Rapids signing. He signed with the Griffins, but obviously he's spent his entire season so far in Toledo, and he's made a huge impact on this team, not just with the physicality, but his leadership and his playmaking on the ice too. He is a great shutdown defenseman, and we saw a lot of that this weekend.
Well, not only that, Christ, he was up leading the rush half the time on Saturday.
Yeah,
let's
talk about that.
Well, I was like, I was like, there goes Redicop again. You're like, what's going on tonight? I was like, I don't know. And it's so funny. Like, we have to point this out, too, because this is the funniest thing ever. The first time we ever met this guy, he walks into the hallway, no shirt on. And then we see him Saturday, no shirt on. Like,
he runs hot, baby. He runs hot, right?
I guess, man. It was just, I just was like, hey, there's Chaz. And then, like, it's just so funny. But no, he's a steady defenseman, stay-at-home guy, knows his role. I mean, he was trying to get, like, he had guys, like, just not even want to mess with him the other night. Like, they didn't want anything to do with him. They were going after, like, your Bannels and your other guys. And it's like, come on, guys. Like, if you're going to go after the rookie, you should have to at least answer to the guy that's been like a veteran in this league for so long. And I just thought that was kind of cheesy on Orlando's part, but it's neither here nor there. But just the stability he's brought to the blue line, and, he's a good player, especially at this level. It's the kind of guy you want on your team.
I mean, let's talk about, too, the play on Saturday. He gets a boarding call, right? Which is a questionable boarding call. The guy turned his numbers at the last minute. Chaz probably got lucky and didn't get an extra penalty out of this, because what does he do after that boarding? Just stands over him. Just stands over him, staring him down. And I'm like, oh my God. But I think it's one of the guys that at the end of the second, I believe it was, there was a scrum there and he was ready to go. Chaz is like, I'll go. And the guy didn't want to go with him, and he definitely mocked him for it. Again, just he's a character on the ice. And as every Toledo guy that we've talked to that faced him last year in Kalamazoo, they are so happy he's on our team this time around. And again, he got lucky in that one, but in the game, the way it was going, I freaking love that. Like, I love that behavior. Is it unsportsmanlike? You can argue it is. Whatever. Who cares? But the way the game was going, the way Orlando was running their mouth, I just freaking loved it. I eat that up every single time a guy does that. And the guys in the bench do too.
Yeah, definitely hated to see the penalty, but at the same time, love to see the just stand over him. And it's like, oh, okay, he just did that. Like,
he did.
He's thrown his weight around a few times. He's caught guys on open ice a couple times. He's that guy that Toledo fans have wanted for a long time. And
it's Toledo hockey, baby. He is Toledo hockey in a nutshell. When you think about the structure that you want in a player, it's Chaz Redicott. Let's be real.
It's what the fans want as a player.
Chris McSorley would have signed that guy day one back in the day.
Oh yeah, yeah. There'd have been no rules on fighting or anything back in the day. He'd have fit in just well. But, you imagine him and Suey on the same pair. But no, he's a good player, even better person. I mean,
he really is.
He's talked to us a few times, even Sunday after the loss. He's seen me and he's, how's it going, buddy? And just kept walking. He's leaving, but. He's just provided a presence. Him and Swoy, I really like that pair.
It's a great pairing.
Yeah, it is. And, you've seen him jumble the second and third pair a little bit, but just to have a first pair like that's huge. I mean, they searched all year last year to find a guy like him, and they made a trade for Graves. And to have a guy like that can play that role all year, I think is going to really benefit them in the long run.
Let's talk about a guy who's going through it right now, and you kind of feel bad, but at the same time, he's still got 10 points in 16 games. He's still a +4 on the defensive side of the puck, and Jalen Smerrick. Like, obviously, he hasn't found the back of the net yet. He's had so many opportunities that get tipped by most likely Griffin Ness or somebody else, it seems like, at this point, but you feel for the guy. He's definitely going through it, and fans don't think he's not taking this lightly. Like, we know he's going through it. You can tell just by his actions on the ice and everything else. But at the same time, he's still been defensively sound as advertised. He's still snapping the puck around, getting 10 assists so far in the year. I know fans want scoring from him as well, but I mean, he's still been great. He's been fantastic in Toledo. I just had to bring him up because sitting in the stands Saturday, there was a lot of, jump up in the play, Jalen, from the crowds or what. I'm like, he's playing his role as expected so far and doing it well.
Man, to have a defenseman have 10 points in 16 games is so bad, right? Like, come on.
I know.
Like, this is the thing, and I kind of alluded it to Kels too. Like, last year, since he was not very good, they had to kind of, he kind of carried that offense, like he doesn't have to do that here. Like, yeah, the power play runs through him and Hawkins. We all know that. But like 10 points in 16 games is nothing. And, he's the type of guy, like I was thinking about this today, like he's the type of guy go out there and have 5 assist game the next game, and all of a sudden he's like 2 points off of his pace last year. Like,
Yeah.
that's the kind of player this is. Like, look, they're like we've already said, they're all still trying to like mesh and play still. Like, there's a lot of moving parts still. So I think he's doing fine. Like, I don't see anything wrong with that. Like, seriously, 10 assists. Like, he's 5th in the team in points as a defenseman. Like, he's gonna crush Riley McCourt's point total from last year. It's just like,
oh yeah,
we thought he scored Saturday. Like, we were both excited. We're like, yes, finally we can talk to him. But Banel got a stick on it. So I was happy for Banel, sad for Smerek. But at the same time, like, you're still happy. Like, he's still putting points on the board here. You know what you're gonna get from him. Like, he's an offensive defenseman. If he's a net positive in the year, you take that and run to the bank. Like, you're happy
100%.
with that. Like, and is there going to be points where, like, okay, maybe he gets beat on a rush because he jumped up in the play? Okay, if goalie makes a save, great. But if then they go down and he scores, like, you're getting net positives. That's the that's the advantage. He is a difference maker offensively, which I guarantee you every team in the league would love to have a guy like that. Like,
100%.
You know what I mean?
And you got to think too, like, Cincy's system is a lot different than Toledo's system. It is vastly different. They do not play the same style of hockey. So the adjustment period here, 16 games in, that's a big adjustment to make. You get 2 weeks of camp with this team, and you're coming in here and expected to be, you're running the first power play unit, and expected to produce in crazy numbers. He's doing just fine in this adjustment period. I guarantee he's a guy that we're talking about after Christmas that's just freaking tearing it up every single game. And not that he hasn't already. 10 points in 16 games as a defenseman is an impressive number. Look at half your NHL teams. They don't have a 10-point defenseman at this point. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think people are thinking way too into this. Like, the guy's playing fine. Like, just kind of like, every player, it doesn't matter who you are. Like, every player is going to make a mistake at some point. Like, who cares? Like, it is what it is. Like, everybody,
they're human.
Like, it doesn't matter if it's Hawk, doesn't matter if it's Spezia, doesn't matter if it's Bliss, doesn't matter if it's Craigs, if it's Smerek, if it's Redicop. Look, it's gonna happen. Like, mistakes are gonna happen. This player in Smerek, he's gonna make up for it offensively. So again, don't sound the alarms.
God, no.
Like, he's playing fine. Like, overall, like, I just don't think that some fans are used to having an offensively minded defenseman with the upside that Jalen gives you, that, like, some people are like, was doing this. Like, I don't care if he does that, if he puts up offense, which is what he's meant to do. Like, that is what he is known for. So if you're getting the net positives out of this, I'm super thrilled with his start. Like, yeah, maybe. Okay, so he's not on a point per game pace like last year. Completely different scenario. He was the focal point of that offense. When you have that many points on that team, you're kind of the focal point of the offense. It runs through you. There's so much more depth here. They don't have to rely on that as heavily as Cincy had to last year. It's gonna come. Just bear with him. Like, if you're upset about it, like, okay, guys, let's tone it back a little bit. He's fine.
Settle down. I mean, the defense overall has been playing pretty good hockey. I don't think there's a bad defenseman on this team, honestly. There's not really anyone I'm sitting here going, oh, God, what was that? If they get burned once, they get burned once. They're human. Hell, Hawk missed the net in optional skate. He's human. He does miss the net. Like, it happens. Like, the guys are playing well. But those were
ECHL too. Like, like, defensive lapses are going to happen. Like,
100%.
It's just part of it. Like, Coase even kind of said that. Like,
yeah, it does happen. And those are the main guys I wanted to make sure we talked about in this episode. Unless you had somebody else you wanted to point out from the weekend here.
The one guy I want to point out is Casey Dornbach. Got his first goal in a Walleye uniform. So that super nice guy again. Like, I could say that about every player on this team. The one thing too that I kind of want to just reiterate, or not even reiterate, just talk about here is what Ace is providing. Like, it's fun. We got to kind of chat with him. He's like, "You guys, the podcast?" So, like, he knew who we are. I was like, "You know who we are?" Like, okay, like, cool.
It's always a scary moment for me.
It is. It's like, ooh.
Oh, what did I say one time
What did I
about a
say that
goalie?
one
Let's
time?
think here.
And it was fun to kind of get to know him on a relatively minor scale, but he took a few minutes when we were sitting there and talking to us about his past and having played and being a coach. But him, Casey had, like I said, first goal. It's just kind of where I'm at right now. I think the team as a whole isn't playing that bad.
No, they're playing good hockey, and everything is a dress rehearsal for April, right? You said that. That's exactly what it is. And
it is. Like, you have 72 games to figure out your identity before the playoffs. Like, look, I think they all know that. Like, Hawk's not going to let them think about April, clearly, which I loved that response. We had to ask him about it. Like, that's the expectation of the whole city. Like, they know it, but they're not worried about that. They're worried about here and now. And, I think the one thing, too, just their overall demeanor, like, you kind of see it after the game. Like, if they win, great, they're happy. And when they lose, they're pissed off. The players take it personal. That's the one thing that I have seen to where I'm like, okay, this is different. Like, they take this so personally. Now, granted, we haven't had this kind of access in the past. So just to see it firsthand, like how personally they take it, like that stuff as a fan, you'd love to see.
Yeah, 100%. And speaking of the fans, I think there's another thing we got to talk about from the weekend. We are now at 42 sellouts, 42 straight sellouts in the Huntington Center, which is more than a regular season of hockey, almost a full calendar year. Like, you fans, like, hats off to you guys. I've never seen anything like this in hockey ever. Like, I know what the NHL level teams sell out, and then you look at the TV and you're like, it's not sold out. It's just comp tickets and everything else that they can count in that, because comp tickets and then actual sold tickets are usually what counts towards that sellout total. But every single time I'm in that freaking building, I look around and I'm like, this place is packed, and they show up every single night. They're rowdy, they're loud, they're a good time. Just like, credit to you guys, because in the ECHL, 42 straight sellouts in I think the requirement is 7,400 tickets, I believe, for a sellout. Someone will have to correct me if I'm wrong. It might be 72. That's more than we pull in Grand Rapids consistently in a 10,000 seat arena. Like, that's just freaking amazing. And we have some of the top prospects within the Red Wings organization playing for this team, and we still can't fill it or even get close to that average early in the season. It doesn't matter to you guys. You're selling it out every single night. And I find it hard to believe that this streak won't continue throughout the whole season, because usually early in the season in hockey is the hardest time to get sellouts, to sell tickets, because there's still fall activities going on. You have holidays, Christmas and Thanksgiving and New Year's coming up. And then usually after that is where you see, at least for us in Grand Rapids, where you start to see the arena packed every single night. But to be able to do that early on and consistently, just like, wow, mind blown every single time I see that stat come out every single night. It's wild.
Yeah, the fans are incredible, and you see, like, you look ahead and it's like less than 1,000 tickets, less than 300 tickets, and it's just like, oh my God, this is like this all the way to April. It's nuts. Just the fans are so passionate. Talking with as many people as we did on just Saturday, and the people that have talked to on a weekly basis there, it's like they just love this team so much, and it's a true credit. This is a true hockey city. Like, it's amazing. Like, I've told like some of my friends that like are getting into hockey. It's like, if you come to a game here and then you literally go to an NHL game, you're gonna be like, dude, I'll just pay the $20 to go watch the Walleye. Like, it's like, yeah, 100%, absolutely. Like, so
you open the Walleye website right now and there's a banner at the top that says, hurry, less than 1,000 tickets left for every home game in November and December already. Like, that's insane. And thinking less than 1,000, they can put, I think 8,300 is the max in there with standing room.
I think it's 86 is the
86. So if there's less than 1,000, basically every game in November and December sold out already.
Yep.
That's wild to me. It's something my brain cannot process. So credit to you guys. Credit to the organization. They do it right, man. Their ticket sales reps and everything else they do it right. And I absolutely love it. But that's all we really had from this past weekend. We kind of look ahead here. We have a game against. He's got one more for me. Go ahead.
I just want to say that Friday night, the most like touching thing I've ever seen in
Oh,
person.
yes. Thank you for bringing this up.
Dude, so like that was kind of a big night for like my family. My mom had cancer over the summer. She beat it. So it was an emotion. My stepmom, she beat it. So it was an emotional night for the four of us. We were there. And, you know, that tribute before the game, they brought the stick out and I seen it had a bell on it. And I was like, oh my God, they're about to bring somebody out with cancer or that has beat cancer. And when they did the video, I was like in tears, and then like he walks out, starts ringing that bell, and I was just like, oh, I'm a pretty emotional guy, but like that really got me. Like I was like, oh God, I'm done. Like I even texted you guys, I was like, I'm in tears right now, guys. Like this is unreal. And like the thing that really even got me worse is like Orlando's team skated over to him and the Walleye skated over to him, and it's just like, oh my God, this sport is truly unlike any other.
Yeah, honestly, they posted the video yesterday and you sent it to us before recording, and I was like, I can't watch this before we record. I know I'm going to have tears. And I watched it last night when we were done, and I was like, yep, this was beautiful. Well done by the Walleye up and down. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful tribute. And the players skating over. If you watch the video they post on YouTube, you can catch some of the audio from the guys as well, all saying, congratulations. And, you got Hawks. He's like, I'm going to skate back with you. All the boys come up to him. It was just beautiful, beautiful up and down. So well done. And congratulations to Wesley on beating it, man. Inspiration to us all, honestly. At 10 years old, I couldn't imagine what he's gone through and what the family's gone through. So congratulations to all of them. And again, well done to the Walleye. Every single freaking presentation they do for like the military games, the cancer games, like they just do it top notch. They don't spare any expense to make sure that it is the best possible thing they can do. And you got a bunch of guys over here with tears in their eyes. So well done, everyone.
One other thing too that we got to talk about is the kids' jersey that they released.
Oh,
dude,
we do.
The fins on the sleeves.
Sick.
Oh, listen,
yeah,
I've been a critic before. I will go on that ship. Like I've been a heavy critic of some of the stuff that they've done over the years for some of their jerseys. But dude, 2 home run hits, like 5th deck home runs, like the kids jersey for this year and the Bullfrogs jersey. The last 2 they've released, just they hit it out the park. There's only a couple things I can think of that could top it all off. Brandon's pulling it up right now.
For our YouTube viewers, here is the kids jersey. It is so sick.
That's sharp. And it just proves my point that black needs to no longer be in the rotation, and they need to bring navy in. I'm sorry, Brandon. I know you love the black jersey, but to me, they need navy. They need the light blue. Like you look at that, and here's your prime example. Look at the stickers on the tunnel outside of where we do the interviews. There's no black.
I know.
There's none. So bring navy back. This works. This is so good. The only thing that I wish they would have almost done, actually, I'm not even going to get into it because I'll be in here all night. So it's just well done. Chef's kiss.
And I love that it looks like the shoulders are not colored. I'm hoping they're going to bring him to the Children's Hospital again and let the kids color them.
I think that's what they're going to do, which is sweet.
I freaking love that, dude. That was so good. We saw a beautiful story with Keenan and one of the kids there last season. And overall, it's always well done. But this jersey, I told myself I was going to be limited this year in jersey purchases because I tend to go off the rails. But I can confirm I pre-ordered this one because it is so well done. It's such a cool jersey. So well done again to the Walleye. Just continuing to produce bangers as jerseys because the Bullfrogs jersey is absolutely sick. We just hope there's orange numbers on it. Once we know that that's confirmed, we'll be really happy. But that Kids Day jersey, it's freaking awesome, man. I love it. But I think, is that all we have?
I think so. I'm sorry. I just kept thinking of stuff.
That's okay. That's okay. It's good to keep thinking of stuff. So at the same time, man, we got a game against Wheeling coming up Wednesday. I don't know if that's going to be before this episode drops or after. If it's before it, the kind of preview is, it's a team that used to be in the division that's not anymore. It's kind of weird that they're not, but it's always a good matchup between them. Expect the Walleye to come out guns blazing after a couple of home losses. Their schedule for a holiday in the middle of it is rough, man. You play Wednesday night on the road, and you got Thanksgiving Thursday, and then they're back on Friday. And I believe they're at home there. I don't remember who they're playing off the top of my head.
Kalamazoo, it's a home and home.
Oh my God, we got the Kalamazoo Wings at home, and then they travel to Kalamazoo Saturday. And as of right now, we'll be there for that one. I'm super excited. It's probably the last time I'll get to see the Walleye in person until the snow stops flying, if I'm being honest, because I'm not making the drive to Toledo in a snowstorm. Sorry, guys, I love you, but I hate driving in the snow. I absolutely hate it. It's for someone who lives in Michigan too. You'd think I would be used to it. I hate it. It's my least favorite thing to do because I drive a lot for my day job, so it sucks. But that is the upcoming schedule. We're excited for a game in Kalamazoo here. It's their teddy bear toss night, their purple game, which means purple ice, which I haven't seen in person. God. I know Travis hates it.
God, they do it too much.
I know.
They just overdo it. But you know what? Hey, Heather will love it.
She will. I'm excited that she'll be out for a game with us too, as long as everything goes right. And she'll be rocking her purple Walleye jersey that we were able to pick up this weekend. So she'll fit in with the purple theme in Kalamazoo, but still be repping the Walleye. So yay for us there. But outside of that, man, nothing else to add to this one. Again, extended thank you to Brandon Hawkins and the Toledo Walleye organization for making everything over this weekend possible. You guys are first class. We enjoy everything that you guys do and let us do. So thank you again. Thank you to all you guys for tuning into this episode. And of course, as always, thank you to our sponsors. We got DraftKings and Game Time, and of course, the Hockey Podcast Network for being fantastic partners with us. But of course, our primary sponsor, the long-standing sponsor of the show, to Everything Hockey Clothing Company. Make sure you guys head over to everythinghockey.com. Use code WEST to save a few bucks off your order. It supports the show. It supports them. A great company that produces fantastic quality items. Their hockey skate lace hoodies are some of my favorite things to wear in the winter. So make sure you head over there and check them out. And of course, without our Patreon subscribers as well, the show would not be possible. So thank you all who've headed over to patreon.com/HockeytownWest podcast, jumped in and supported the show. And our current supporters are as followed. You have John in Florida, Elaine Grace, Griffin, Randy Zick, Derek Sleezer, Lori and Allen, and of course, Michael Asante as well. Thank you guys for jumping over there and supporting the show. We appreciate you. We got a ton of fun content coming up there, as well as potentially some other fun ideas I have that I got to roll out to the boys here and get approved first. But the brain's kind of been cooking since we've been in Toledo. So especially a week off of my day job, that kind of helps as well. But we got some fun stuff planned for you guys. We do promise. And Travis, you have one last thing to add, because of course you do.
So the fans of Toledo will love this. We're going to have an alumni on the show here in the next near future. I'm going to drop it just because I got a date confirmed. Billy Christopoulos will be joining us in a couple of weeks here. So I'm excited to sit down with him. He was unbelievable for us. So if you've made it this long, there's your announcement. We do have another alumni, our first Walleye alumni, but another alumni of Toledo hockey coming on the show.
We're excited for that one. I hope I get to be a part of it. Got to confirm my schedule a little bit. I'd love to get to know this guy, but looking at the stats, yeah, he was unreal for you guys. And seeing the pictures of him having a full Walleye goalie setup, God, I wish the organization had the funds to do that for every guy down there. But I know with the Red Wings prospects and goalies, it's a challenge. But dude, it looks so sick. And hopefully it's the first of many more Walleye alumni we can get on the show. I know Travis and I have been talking back and forth about a few guys who were like, yep, these are guys we need to try to get on the show. The fans would appreciate it. But that will be coming soon. So like Travis said, if you made it this long in the episode, there's your teaser for it. We'll have an official date when it's announced on the social media pages, so stay tuned there to see when that official episode is going to come. But I would assume within the next week or two, we'll have that interview for you guys. But until then, we'll talk to you all again soon. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful and safe Thanksgiving with your families, safe Black Friday shopping if you're heading out to that madness. If it is still even madness these days, who knows? But until then, go Griffins, go Walleye. We'll see you guys soon.
Thank you for tuning in to the Hockeytown West podcast. Be sure to check us out on Twitter at HockeytownWPod and your host, Nick at GR Hockey Guy and Brandon at Brandon GR Hockey.